In 26 years on the bench, I thought I'd seen every form of arrogance walk through my courtroom doors. But I was wrong. The morning a decorated Navy SEAL stood before me with a shattered collarbone, and the man who put him there smiled at me like we were sharing a joke, that was the day I realized some people truly believe they're untouchable. I'm Judge Elizabeth Davis, and what I'm about to share isn't just another case from my docket. It's the morning a father had to choose between his badge and his son, between the oath he swore and the child he raised. The decision he made broke my heart and restored my faith in humanity all at once. If you believe that justice should never bend to privilege, that our veterans deserve more than empty gratitude, then you need to hear this story. And if you stand for accountability even when it's painful, subscribe to Elizabeth Davis Justice right now. Because what happened in my courtroom that October morning will challenge everything you think you know about love, loyalty, and doing what's right. The case file landed on my desk on a Wednesday afternoon. State versus Cameron Walsh. Aggravated assault on a protected person. I opened it expecting another bar fight, another road rage incident. What I found made my blood run cold. The victim was Lieutenant Commander Raymond Hayes, retired Navy SEAL, 64 years old. The incident occurred outside a coffee shop downtown. According to the police report, Lieutenant Commander Hayes was leaving the cafe when Cameron Walsh, 27 years old, nearly hit him while backing out of a parking space at high speed. Hayes tapped on the car window and gestured for Walsh to slow down. What happened next was captured on 3 separate cell phone videos. Walsh got out of his vehicle, a brand new Range Rover, and confronted Hayes. The videos show Walsh shoving the 64-year-old veteran backwards into a concrete planter. Hayes fell hard. His shoulder struck the edge of the planter with enough force that witnesses heard the crack. Cameron Walsh then stood over him and said, and this is documented by multiple witnesses, "You don't touch my car, old man. My father owns half this city. Try me." Lieutenant Commander Hayes was rushed to the hospital with a fractured collarbone, 3 cracked ribs, and severe bruising. He spent 4 days in the hospital. The doctors told him his recovery would take months. But here's what made this case different from the hundreds of assault cases I've handled over the years. Raymond Hayes wasn't just any veteran. He'd served 23 years in the Navy, 2 deployments in Iraq, 1 in Afghanistan. He'd earned the Bronze Star with valor for pulling 3 wounded Marines out of a firefight under enemy fire. After retiring from the military, he'd spent another 15 years teaching leadership at the local community college. He mentored at-risk youth. He volunteered at veteran support centers. He was exactly the kind of person who makes a community stronger just by being in it. And Cameron Walsh had put him in the hospital over a parking lot disagreement. The media coverage was immediate and relentless. The cell phone videos went viral within hours. People across the city were outraged. But here's what nobody knew yet. Cameron Walsh's father was Captain Daniel Walsh, one of the highest-ranking officers in our city's police department. The morning of the hearing, I arrived at the courthouse early. I could feel the tension before I even entered the building. News vans lined the street. Veteran advocacy groups had organized a peaceful demonstration outside. Inside, the gallery was packed to capacity. I saw retired military personnel in uniform. I saw concerned citizens. I saw reporters with cameras and notepads ready. And sitting quietly in the 3rd row was Lieutenant Commander Raymond Hayes. His arm was in a sling. His face still showed the bruising from his fall. But he sat with the kind of quiet dignity that only comes from a lifetime of service and sacrifice. He didn't look angry. He looked tired and disappointed. At exactly 9:30, the bailiff called the court to order. I took my seat and looked out at the courtroom. That's when Cameron Walsh walked in. I've learned to read people in the first 60 seconds. Body language, eye contact, posture, all of it tells me what kind of person I'm dealing with. Cameron Walsh entered my courtroom like he was walking onto a yacht, expensive suit, designer shoes, that particular swagger that comes from never being told no. His attorney followed close behind. What struck me most wasn't just Cameron's confidence, it was his complete lack of awareness. As he walked past Lieutenant Commander Hayes, he didn't glance at him. Didn't acknowledge him? Nothing. It was as if the man whose collarbone he'd shattered didn't even exist. I let the silence settle before I spoke. "Mr. Walsh, You're charged with aggravated assault causing serious bodily injury to Lieutenant Commander Raymond Hayes. This is a serious charge. Do you understand what you're accused of? Cameron's attorney started to answer, but I held up my hand. Counselor, I asked your client. Cameron stood. His voice was casual, almost bored. Yes, Your Honor, I understand, but I think there's been a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding. That word hung in the air like smoke. Mr. Walsh, I said carefully. 3 witnesses recorded video of you shoving Lieutenant Commander Hayes into a concrete planter. He suffered a broken collarbone and spent 4 days in the hospital. What exactly is the misunderstanding? Cameron adjusted his tie. That smirk never left his face. Your Honor, the man touched my car. It's a $70,000 vehicle. I reacted to protect my property. I've been doing this job long enough to know when someone is testing me. Cameron Walsh was testing me. Mr. Walsh, I said, my voice dropping to that tone I reserve for people who need a reality check. You believe that protecting your car justifies putting a 64-year-old veteran in the hospital? His attorney jumped in. Your Honor, my client acted in self-defense. He felt threatened by... Counselor, I interrupted. I've watched the videos, all 3 of them, from multiple angles. Your client was not threatened. He was inconvenienced. There's a difference. I turned back to Cameron. Mr. Walsh, before we go any further, I want you to understand exactly who you harmed. Lieutenant Commander Hayes, would you please stand? Raymond Hayes rose slowly, painfully. Even that simple movement showed the extent of his injuries. Lieutenant Commander, I said gently, would you tell Mr. Walsh about your service? Hayes' voice was strong despite his pain. Your Honor, I served in the United States Navy for 23 years. Navy SEAL Team 3, multiple combat deployments. I was awarded the Bronze Star with Valor for actions in Fallujah. The courtroom was absolutely silent. Thank you for your service, Lieutenant Commander. You may sit. I looked at Cameron Walsh. His smirk had faded slightly, but the arrogance hadn't. Mr. Walsh, that is the man you assaulted over a car door. Do you have anything to say? Cameron glanced at his lawyer, then back at me. Your Honor, I didn't know he was a veteran. That response told me everything I needed to know. Mr. Walsh, the fact that you think it would only matter if you knew his military service is deeply troubling. Every person, veteran or not, deserves to be treated with basic respect. But since you brought it up, let me be clear. You put your hands on a decorated combat veteran, a man who risked his life for this country, a man who spent his retirement teaching young people, and you did it because he tapped on your car window. I paused, letting that sink in. But there's something else troubling me, Mr. Walsh. According to multiple witnesses, after you shoved Lieutenant Commander Hayes to the ground, you said, and I'm quoting directly, "My father owns half this city. Try me." Did you say that? Cameron's face flushed. His attorney whispered urgently in his ear. Your Honor, my client was upset. He didn't mean... Did you say it, Mr. Walsh? I pressed. Cameron's jaw tightened. Yes, Your Honor, I said it. Mr. Walsh, I continued, your father is Captain Daniel Walsh of the City Police Department, is that correct? Yes, Your Honor. And you believed that your father's position would protect you from consequences for assaulting a veteran in broad daylight? Before Cameron could answer, I did something I rarely do. I addressed the gallery directly. Is Captain Daniel Walsh in this courtroom? The entire courtroom turned, and there, sitting in the last row wearing civilian clothes, was Captain Daniel Walsh. He stood slowly. The look on his face was something I'll never forget. Not anger, not embarrassment, heartbreak. Cameron spun around. For the first time since entering my courtroom, his arrogance completely shattered. Dad, what are you doing here? Captain Walsh walked down the center aisle, each step deliberate, each step heavy. He was in his mid-50s, gray at the temples, wearing a simple polo shirt and khakis. No uniform, no badge, just a father watching his son destroy everything he'd tried to teach him. I addressed him with genuine respect. Captain Walsh, thank you for being here. I know this must be incredibly difficult. The captain stood straight, his military bearing evident. Your Honor, I appreciate you allowing me to be present. The courtroom was so quiet, you could hear people breathing. I looked at Captain Walsh. Captain, your son seems to believe that your position will shield him from accountability. He's used your name and your rank as justification for his actions. I'm giving you an opportunity to address that directly. This was the moment. the moment a father had to choose between his child and his principles. Captain Walsh took a deep breath. When he spoke, his voice was steady, but filled with emotion. "Your Honor, my son is wrong. He's always been wrong about that." He turned to Cameron. "Son, I need you to listen to me. Really listen. I've spent 32 years in law enforcement. I've arrested murderers, drug dealers, corrupt officials. I've put my life on the line to protect this city and uphold the law. And not once, not one single time, have I ever believed that my badge gave me or my family the right to break those same laws." Cameron tried to speak. "Dad, please." The captain held up his hand. The authority in that gesture was absolute. "I'm not finished. Your Honor, I watched the videos the day they went public. I saw what my son did to Lieutenant Commander Hayes. I know exactly what happened, and I'm standing here today to tell you that whatever sentence you deem appropriate, you have my complete support." Captain Walsh's voice cracked slightly, but he pressed on. "I thought I raised him better than this. I thought I taught him respect, humility, service. I thought I showed him what it means to treat every person with dignity, regardless of who they are or what they have." He looked at his son. "But somewhere along the way, I failed, and that failure is standing right here." Cameron's face crumbled. Tears welled up in his eyes. "Dad, I'm sorry. I didn't mean..." "Son, I love you. That will never change. But love doesn't mean protecting you from the consequences of your actions. Love means holding you accountable so you can become the man you're supposed to be." The captain turned back to me. "Your Honor, I visited Lieutenant Commander Hayes 2 days ago. I apologized to him personally, even though I know that can't undo what Cameron did. And Lieutenant Commander Hayes said something I'll never forget. He said, 'Captain, your son doesn't need protection. He needs to understand what real strength looks like.'" And the captain's voice broke. "He was right. My son needs to face what he's done, and I will not interfere. In fact, Your Honor, I'm asking you to hold him fully accountable, because if he doesn't learn this lesson now, he'll hurt someone else." Before I continue with what I decided that day, I want to ask you something. Have you ever had to choose between loyalty and justice? Between protecting someone you love and holding them accountable? It's one of the hardest choices we ever face. Share your thoughts in the comments because this story is about more than one case. It's about the choices we all make when the people we love do wrong. Do we enable them, or do we love them enough to let them face consequences? Think about that as I tell you what happened next. I looked at Cameron Walsh. He was openly crying now. The arrogance was gone, replaced by something I hadn't seen before: genuine remorse. "Mr. Walsh," I said quietly, "your father just showed you what integrity looks like. He could have used his influence to make this disappear. He could have called in favors, applied pressure, found technicalities. Instead, he chose to honor Lieutenant Commander Hayes. He chose to honor the badge he's worn for 32 years. He chose to honor the oath he swore. I suggest you pay very close attention to that lesson." I opened my file. "Cameron Walsh, I find you guilty of aggravated assault causing serious bodily injury. Here's your sentence. You will serve 8 months in county jail. You will complete 400 hours of community service working specifically with disabled veterans. You will attend counseling for anger management and entitlement for 18 months. You will make full financial restitution for all of Lieutenant Commander Hayes' medical expenses and lost wages." Cameron nodded, accepting each term. "But I'm not finished," I continued. "You will also write a detailed letter of apology to Lieutenant Commander Hayes, explaining what you did, why it was wrong, and what you're doing to change. That letter will be read in open court." "Furthermore," I said, "after you complete your jail sentence, you will speak to police academy recruits and community groups about privilege, accountability, and the real meaning of respect. Your father will arrange these speaking engagements. You will tell your story, not to humiliate you, but to prevent others from making the same mistakes." I paused. "And one more thing. You will meet face-to-face with Lieutenant Commander Hayes and apologize to him personally. Not because I'm ordering it as part of your sentence, but because it's the right thing to do." I turned to Raymond Hayes. "Lieutenant Commander, do you have anything you'd like to say?" The veteran stood slowly. His voice was quiet but powerful. "Your Honor, I don't need revenge. I just need this young man to understand that every person he meets deserves basic respect. Age doesn't matter, rank doesn't matter. What matters is treating each other with dignity. If he learns that lesson, then maybe something good can come from this." The grace in those words moved everyone in that courtroom. Here was a man who'd been assaulted, hospitalized, and disrespected, offering wisdom instead of anger. I addressed Cameron one final time. "Mr. Walsh, Lieutenant Commander Hayes is showing you more grace than you deserve. I suggest you spend your time thinking about the kind of man you want to become." As the bailiff approached to take Cameron into custody, Captain Walsh walked over to his son. They stood face to face. The entire courtroom watched, and then Captain Walsh did something that made everyone in that room understand what real love looks like. He pulled his son into a tight embrace. "I love you," the captain said, his voice breaking, "but I love you enough to let you face this. You'll get through it. And when you do, you'll be a better man. You'll be the man I know you can be." Cameron sobbed into his father's shoulder. "I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry. I know, son. Now prove it." The bailiff gently separated them, and Cameron was led away. Captain Walsh stood there, watching his son disappear through the courtroom doors, tears streaming down his face. I stepped down from the bench and walked over to him. We stood together for a moment in silence. "You did the right thing," I said quietly. The captain nodded, his voice thick with emotion. "Doesn't make it hurt any less." "No," I agreed, "but it makes it matter." Before the courtroom emptied, I made one final statement. What you witnessed here today is about the choice we all face when someone we love does wrong. Captain Walsh could have used his position to protect his son. Instead, he chose justice. He chose Lieutenant Commander Hayes. He chose the values he spent his life upholding. 8 months later, I received a letter. It was from Cameron Walsh, written the day he was released from jail. He told me that his time in custody had been the hardest and most important experience of his life. That working with disabled veterans had taught him what real strength looks like. That his face-to-face meeting with Lieutenant Commander Hayes had changed everything. He wrote, "Judge Davis, you gave me justice when I deserved only punishment. My father gave me accountability when I wanted protection. And Lieutenant Commander Hayes gave me grace when I deserved none. I will spend the rest of my life trying to deserve those gifts." Today, Cameron Walsh works with veteran support organizations. He speaks to young people about privilege, accountability, and second chances. His relationship with his father, broken that morning in my courtroom, has been rebuilt on honesty and respect. And Raymond Hayes? He and Cameron meet for coffee once a month. Hayes mentors him, teaches him, guides him. It's one of the most beautiful examples of redemption I've ever witnessed. I've been on the bench for 26 years, and I've learned this. Real justice isn't just about punishment. It's about transformation. It's about holding people accountable while believing they can be better. And real love isn't shielding someone from consequences. It's standing beside them as they face those consequences and become who they're meant to be. If this story moved you, if you believe in justice that transforms rather than just condemns, share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Like it if you honor our veterans and the sacrifices they make. Subscribe to Elizabeth Davis Justice for more stories that prove accountability and compassion can coexist. And remember Captain Walsh's words. Love means holding people accountable so they can become who they're supposed to be. Posed. I'm Judge Elizabeth Davis. Thank you for being here. Now go be the change you want to see in this world.